Hi, I'm Dave Despain. You know, I've been announcing motorcycle races for a good many years now, and riding a bike a lot longer than that. I've bounced from one end of the country to the other on two wheels and, yeah, even fell off a time or two. And along the way, I've learned one thing that applies no matter how long you've been riding. It takes constant practice to keep your skills sharp. Come on, let me show you what I mean.
These are highly skilled riders, but they weren't born with that fine sense of touch, just how much brake pressure, how much lean to make the turn safely. They've watched, they've studied, they've read, and most important of all, they've practiced long and hard to improve their technique. We can learn from these very competent riders. Many of their riding techniques are useful on the street, where riding a motorcycle is really difficult. Between two-way traffic, pedestrians, the expressway rush hour, it's no wonder some of these experts think twice before venturing onto Main Street. If you're going to survive in the asphalt jungle, make sure your skills are in top shape. Perhaps the most obvious and most important skill to improve is your ability to use both brakes effectively. You never know when your only choice will be to stop quickly. When you accelerate, your weight and the cycle's weight are rocked back, much the same as being pressed against the seat of a car during a fast start. When slowing down, the weight shifts forward, creating a distribution of about 70% on the front wheel and about 30% on the rear. Your motorcycle is made to take advantage of these characteristics. The front wheel is equipped with more powerful brakes than the rear. Smooth, controlled stops require the use of both brakes, with skillful use of the front brake being most important. Is there any truth to the old tale that if you touch the front brake, you'll go over the handlebars? Judge for yourself. A recent study of 900 motorcycle accidents reports that 83% of the riders did not use both brakes prior to impact. The most common mistake? Over-braking at the rear wheel and under-braking at the front wheel. Here is a way to practice your braking skills and prove to yourself that combined braking is the safest way to stop. Find a large, clean, unobstructed parking lot. You'll need about 150 feet in length. Use the parking space lines for reference points. This is the line where you'll apply your brakes. Be sure to allow enough room to stop. Let's start at a moderate speed. First, use the rear brake only. Press hard and lock up the rear wheel. Count the lines. Perfecting your control of a locked rear wheel is important. It often happens in traffic. If you are leaned over even a small amount, the rear wheel will slide to the side. You'll notice that the rear wheel will skid in a straight line if the motorcycle is upright. Repeat this several times. working your speed up 5 miles per hour each time. After you've learned to control your motorcycle in a rear wheel skid, you're ready to work on combination braking, that is, using both brakes. Let's start off slow, and this time concentrate on applying firm pressure to each brake control, but don't lock either wheel. The idea is to slow the wheels as much as possible, just short of lockup. Be careful not to pull or grab the front brake lever, just squeeze it firmly. If you have been counting lines, you'll be able to see just how much less distance you need to stop. Practice as you did before, increasing your speed gradually. Fine-tune your braking ability by practicing every other week. Honing your stopping skills is just as important as your routine maintenance checks. Contrary to the old myth, you can use your brakes, front and rear, when leaned over in a turn. Let's see that again. As speed and lean angle are reduced, brake pressure can be increased, reaching maximum when the motorcycle is upright. Be careful not to lock up either wheel. No matter how long you have been riding, you'll find that practice in a safe environment will build up your skill and your confidence. You will need more room than you used for the straight line braking practice. Let's ride in a large J-shaped pattern using 2 lanes in the parking lot. Make a turn around the end of the painted lines with your stop point at the end of the J. As before, practice again and again, slowly building up your speed as you gain confidence. Change direction every so often so that you become skillful at stopping in a turn in either direction. What could be more basic to motorcycle riding than knowing how to steer? The generally agreed upon method is that to steer the cycle, you lean it over, and to lean it over, you use your body weight, or body English. But there is another method that produces the same result, but is easier, faster, and more precise. To make the cycle lean to the right, you press forward on the right hand grip. To lean to the left, you press forward on the left grip. Mastery of this method will give a rider easier and more precise control during turns. The key is to gently press forward with your hand on the side you want to go toward. This is called counter steering, because the cycle is initially steered counter to or away from the intended direction of the turn. Look for the movement of the front wheel relative to the white line. The first thing to happen when the rider presses forward on the handlebar is the front wheel is turned away from the desired direction. Next, the cycle leans in the direction the rider wants to go. The wheel swings around and the entire cycle goes exactly where the rider wants it to, all because of light pressure from your hand. To resolve any questions about how the rider initiates the turn, here is a demonstration that will show the cycle responding to only hand pressure. By keeping his body motionless, the rider has removed all steering inputs to the cycle except to press forward with his hand. Press left, go left. Press right, go right. Sometimes situations occur when you need to swerve quickly, and counter-steering skill is what you'll need. You can practice counter-steering in an empty parking lot. A good method is to set up a series of markers and weave around them using only your hands to counter-steer. Keep your body straight up. Begin at low speeds, 12 to 15 miles per hour. Remember, a cycle steers differently than a car. Should an emergency face you, don't steer your cycle like a car. Your habits and reactions need training. Practice every time you ride, and your turning skills and reactions will improve. A useful technique called counterweighting or counterbalancing is helpful when making tight, low-speed turns. Counterweighting means shifting your weight away from or counter to the direction of a turn. If you are making a left turn, shift weight to the right. Right turn, shift weight to the left. Let's look at how a cycle turns. A turn can be made by turning the front wheel sharply and keeping the cycle nearly vertical. For a tight turn, combine wheel turn and cycle lean. The rider needs skill in counterweighting to keep upright at such a radical lean angle. Here are 3 ways to counterweight the cycle for tight turns. 1. Change your seating position to the outside of the turn. Don't be afraid to move around on the saddle. You're not glued to it. 2. Lean your upper body away from the direction of the turn. This will shift weight to the outside of the turn. 3. Place your body weight on your feet by using your thigh muscles. You don't have to stand up, just concentrate your weight on the foot pegs. Now to counterweight, shift all your weight to the outside foot. Counterweighting can be done with any of these 3 methods by themselves or in combination. It is a skill you'll find easy to learn and useful every day. Occasionally, you may encounter an obstacle that you simply can't avoid. Approach the obstacle at a sharp angle. Rise from the seat, keep your knees and elbows flexed with weight equal on both foot pegs, and maintain a firm grip on the cycle with your knees, legs, and hands. Let your knees and thighs absorb the shock as you ride over the obstacle. You can lessen the shock by helping the front wheel over the obstacle. Let's look at an expert crossing a large obstacle. He is an observed trials rider, a specialist in riding over difficult terrain. He stands on the foot pegs and approaches perpendicular to the log. The suspension is compressed by bouncing down on the foot pegs. As the springs rebound, he lifts the front wheel by shifting his weight back, applying a small amount of power, and pulling up slightly on the handlebars. When the rear wheel has climbed the log, the throttle is closed gradually and weight is shifted forward to place the front wheel on the ground. These techniques combine to allow the rider to cross large obstacles with absolute control. There may be times you can't avoid an obstacle, and you'll need skills similar to those used by the trials rider. This requires a lot of practice in an empty area. You can use 2x4s for your practice sessions. Crossing obstacles takes a lot of skill and a lot of practice. Take the time to develop your ability. Too often, road or traffic conditions confront us with situations where we need to respond quickly and decisively. According to the most recent research, the typical emergency predicament will allow you just 2 seconds at most to complete your avoidance maneuver. That's 1, 2. In that time frame, you must determine the best choice of avoidance maneuver and execute it. There won't be time to change your mind, and there won't be room for mistakes. Similar to the aircraft pilot, the motorcyclist can't afford mistakes. With these serious demands of time, accurate judgment, and skillful maneuvering, it's in your best interest to plan ahead.
Constant practice to maintain these skills will enable you to react quickly and properly in an emergency situation. Take care, friends, and ride safe.